This week is a friendship card, and I am again using the heart to heart stamp set that I used last week, but I am showcasing some awesome new products, including the red velvet 6x6 paper pack, and I'm using a fun pinwheel template, and look how dimensional this card is. So here's the front of the card, and there's the inside, and there's still room for you to add your own greeting if you wish. So let's get started looking at some of the products I used on the card. Some of the things I used on this card are the red velvet paper pack, and this is kind of a mini paper pad, so it's 6x6 papers, and they're all double-sided, and they've got some really adorable designs. I love the color combination of the red, brown, and green and black, so that's new and that's exciting. And I also have the red jewel dazzles, nice and sparkly, and the black jewel border dazzles, the chocolate ribbon set, and the playful pinwheels template. So that looks like a nice fun combination. Let's get started on the card. I'm going to start by making my pinwheels first. I'm going to be making the 3.5-inch double lily pinwheel. So I'm using this sheet of paper, so it'll be red on the back when I fold it over. So following these instructions, I'm going to cut out 2 of these shapes, starting by just tracing your shape. Well, first let me tear out this paper. And these do come with a white border on them, but it's super easy to just cut that off when you need to use it. I do love that it's a bound book of paper, so it keeps all the papers together that you're not using at the time. So I'm going to turn it to the back and start tracing this pinwheel on here and then cut it out. Now I've got one cut out already, but I do want to note that this paper, since it's 6x6, it's a little smaller. However, you can still fit 2 of these on here. You just have to make sure that you have them in the opposite corners because they won't fit this way. So that's just a little tip. Now I'm going to cut out the second one. Okay, so I've stacked my 2 pinwheels on top of each other. The top layer here, I don't know if you can see that, is turned 45 degrees, so it's at an angle on the bottom layer. And I've stuck these 2 together with a glue stick just in the center. So once you've done that, you'll have this kind of flower looking shape. And then you're going to want to pull the underlayer, the tail, just the tails of the underlayer to the top layer. So there's 4 tails, so that's the second one, just the third one, 4th one. So now you can see all the tails are on that top layer. And if you wanted this pinwheel to have a brad going through the center, I would punch the holes of the tails in the center, but since mine is just going to be a stationary pinwheel, I'm just going to use zots. So I'm going to put a little zot on the tail, each of these tails, and then I'm going to stick them to the center of the pinwheel, just trying to match up those circles. So there's one, and you're going to go ahead and do this 8 times, 1 for each of the tails. So stick on the zot, and then stick it to the middle. And you can kind of see these are the spokes of the pinwheel forming. Alright, so I'm going to finish doing all 8 of those. And here's the final pinwheel result. And it does look a little bit like a flower, and you can see how dimensional it is. So to stick that on, I would use foam tape or a few zots, but that's my first pinwheel. So for the second one, I'm going to do the same thing with this little guy, except with a different paper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so you don't have to watch the whole process again. Then we'll move on with the card. So here I have my 2 finished pinwheels, And now I can go ahead and start on my card. So I'm starting with my 6.5 inch wide by 5 inch tall card base as usual. So this is a horizontal card, and this is the sheet I want to use for my background. So it's only 6 inches tall and wide, so it won't cover the whole card, but I am going to just center it, and I'm going to leave these white edges just for an accent. So I'm going to cover this area with the green paper. I'm going to use my jewel border dazzles on the edges of the card. So first I'm going to measure it down to about there. So I'm just going to make a small slice right on the backing sheet through the dazzle, and that way I don't have to peel off the whole thing and then cut it off and then put it back on. So it makes it very handy. Alright, so I'm just going to put this on the very edge. And it kind of looks like a little white scallop, which I like. And then trim off that little tip there, and then repeat with the other side. Now on this border I want to add some red jewel dazzles, so I'm going to go ahead, take my retractable knife here, and I'm going to add one of these medium jewel dazzles in the center of each scallop. So let's see what that looks like. I kind of scoop that up with my knife, set it down right there. And to keep them from flying off your sheet, I usually kind of hold it with my finger downward, just lightly on the side of the knife, and then same thing when I'm putting it down on the card. So we're having a nice, fun little sparkly border here. And I'll do this with both sides. So here's my card at the moment, and I'm placing my pinwheels here. And for my greeting, I'm going to use a stamp from the Heart to Heart stamp set. And I'm going to use We'll Be Friends Forever because you know way too much. I think that's pretty cute and true. So I'm going to put the We'll Be Friends Forever right up in this corner, just using my Stays On Jet Black. There we go. And for my, I'm gonna kind of dress up these pinwheels as flowers because I think that looks pretty cute. So I'm gonna use my ruler and a pencil to draw some stems, and then I'm gonna put the black jewel border dazzles on them. So there are my pencil lines, that way I know where to put the jewel dazzles. And I'm just going to choose a couple of these borders to stick on and kind of measure it in the same way as I did the outer border, and just cover these lines. So there are my stems, and I've put some foam tape on the back of my pinwheels. So I'm going to go ahead and attach those. And I'm not done decorating the pinwheels. I'm going to put some dazzles on them, of course. Then we'll be nearly done. Here's a close-up of how I've decorated the pinwheels with the dazzles. The black diamonds here are from this sheet, and I've just used these centers. And just a large dazzle, jewel dazzle in the center, surrounded by some small ones. And then on here, a large one in the center, and then small ones on each tip. So almost done. I'm just going to add a little bit of ribbon for an accent. So I've just knotted on a bow here and a little knot here so it doesn't take over that little guy. So this is the completed front. Now time for the inside. So for the inside, I have stamped this on a 2-inch square. And that green paper is this one right here. So it's on the back of this sheet. And now I want to mat it on the red and black dot. So I'm going to just glue it right there in the corner and then cut off the excess. And that's pretty much the easiest way to mat. So I'm keeping it pretty plain and simple for the inside. I've taken my square, matted it on the red and black dot. Now I'm going to glue it into the corner of my card, or kind of on the right side. Right about there. And now I'm going to kind of anchor it down to the card with some more border dazzles. So I'm going to pick a few of these and put them kind of across the middle. So these are the borders I used, and we're almost complete. I'm just going to add another touch of ribbon on the inside, and there is room down here if you want to write a personal greeting, which I like. So then we'll be done. So I've added this cute sheer ribbon down here, and that's the end of the card. So here's the front. We'll be friends forever, and because you know way too much. So stay tuned for the savings bundle, and thanks for watching again this week. And I promise a very small surprise at the end, so stay tuned. Enjoy. First in the bundle we have the Playful Pinwheels template, and it gives you all the instructions you need to make some 3D pinwheels. And some of them, depending on how you attach them, you can actually make them spin, so that's fun. And also you can stack and layer different shapes of pinwheels. And up top there are some images of what the pinwheels will look like when they're completed, as well as kind of scattered around the template. Then I have the black jewel border dazzles. Now these are black glitter finish, so they have a slight sheen to them, and the outer edges of them are silver. And the red jewel dazzles are red holographic with a gold border around them. The red velvet paper pack has 24 sheets, 2 of each design, and they're all double-sided, so perfect for using with this pinwheels template since you're folding these to be double-sided. And finally, 12 chocolate ribbons in the chocolate ribbon set. There's a combination of cream, white, brown, and black. So lots of possibilities with that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completely different items this week, but I hope you guys have fun with it.